There is no guarantee for success, but there are ways to get closer to it when you do the right things. Who you surround yourself with is just as important as what you do. Finding the right people, the right classes, the right activities, and taking the right tests are all decisions that shape your future. Find out more today on Destination University with Dr. Cynthia Colon. Dr. Colon and her guests will give you the tips you need, whether you're a student, parent, or educator. Now, here is your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon.
You're listening to Destination University. We are running a special series, 30 Teens and 30 Dreams, where we follow students who've been admitted to college and are dishing on all that they did right and what they would do differently. If you are a college-bound teen or a champion of one, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Today is part 2, where you talk to Janah. You're going to see what she has to say about what it means to go to high school, not only any high school, the best high school in Chicago, and what she had to do to navigate her way to getting ready for success in her senior year. The college admission process is not for the faint of heart, but Janah is going to tell you exactly what she did and how she always asked for help. Ask and ye shall receive. Meet Janah. Okay, Janah. So we're here. We're part 2. If you missed part 1, be sure to watch it or listen to it. And just to get everybody caught up, we talked in the first part about your journey and declaring out loud that you wanted to go to Harvard, you want to become the president of the United States, and making your vision very plain and clear. In this episode, we're going to talk about how you used every resource possible. So now that you were finally admitted to Peyton, tell us about, from that moment of getting the yes, that your mom had already opened the envelope, what comes next as you prepare the summer just before freshman year and into freshman year?
Yes, so the summer before freshman year, I actually did debate camp. So I did debate in middle school. That was my thing. And so I definitely wanted to continue to do debate in high school. And so it was just a 2-week camp, nothing super, exotic, because debate camp can run up to 7 weeks. And I did it at Michigan State. And so that was what I did before high school. But I was, before coming to Peyton, very excited about what I had to do to overcome, basically to get to where I was, and just preparing to be a standout student.
Now, I want, and I don't mean to sort of bring this up for negative reasons, but for those who listened to the first episode, we know that you were originally denied admission for Peyton, and then you had to sort of resubmit at principal's discretion, and then you were admitted. So that little nut in your brain, did that ever lead you to think, I shouldn't be here, or like just worry that you weren't, prepared? Did it ever give you any doubts in freshman year?
Honestly, no. I think in some ways I felt that I proved myself. I had to write a personal narrative, and I was selected by the principal to be admitted. There was no test scores, which don't always show a clear picture of you as a student. And so I had teachers advocate for me. And so it was disappointing, and not, I guess maybe I would have preferred to do it the normal way, to get in right away, but I did not feel that I didn't belong. Although I did hear comments like, you're definitely going to get in because you're Black, or things like that, which are disheartening, but they did not make me waver in faith at all. I definitely felt that I proved myself, and I felt that I deserved to be at the school because I know the caliber of student that gets in, and I know that I was chosen. So I felt that I belonged to be there.
That's such a good lesson that you really, and I think that this comes from, again, from our episode 1, it was very clear that even when you made a statement as bold as I want, I want to go to Harvard, that your mom never discouraged you. So you had people around you that made you believe full-heartedly that you definitely belong there. So what great confidence to have, because once you're admitted, you're just one of everybody else. But it's unfortunately, it's not surprising for me to hear you say that others that you heard other whispers of, oh, you're going to get in because you're Black or this or that or whatever. And that can be devastating to some. But for someone like you who has faith and the hype tribe, or the hype squad, as my friend Tony Puri calls it, the hype tribe, you had the hype tribe you needed. Okay, awesome. That's great. Parents, write that down. Okay, so you did debate, you got involved, you knew, again, you had sort of this clear vision, and you never wavered in your confidence. And debate was your thing. That was really your thing for several years. So you did debate, and then take us, either you could share a little bit about debate, and then also I want you to talk about PALS, because that was a real whole application process. So go ahead, share.
Yes, so debate was my thing. People knew me as being a debater. In a lot of ways, it was my identity. So, and debate is very intense. So, for those of you who don't know, it's a lot of work. But my experience in high school debate was a lot different. I didn't have the partner I came in with. And then also, I was the only Black debater on the team. And so I really felt, um, in ways I never felt ostracized because I'd been one of few, but I definitely felt that on debate because in high school, the elitism, the toxic competitiveness, the casual racism kind of shot up exponentially. And so, really, a lot of talent gets you far, but I realized in debate that money also gets you really far because, you private coaches and expensive debate camps and things like that. So, my debate experience was really different from middle school. And um, over the years, it became less of what I wanted to be a part of. But I guess beyond debate, I was involved in my school community as much as possible. Very passionate about social justice. A very outspoken person. And so I wanted to be a part of the conversations where things were happening. And so I did that in several ways. Another way I decided to be a part of my community is I applied for PALS, which is Peyton Advisory Leaders. They are upperclassmen who are mentors to freshmen, um, and they help them, make that adjustment and get acclimated to high school. And so it's very competitive. Um, there's only like there's only 25 spots, and a lot of people want to do PALS. So probably at least 200 people sign up. Um, and so it's very hard. You have to make that initial application. You have to like self-nominate. Then you need teachers um, I guess, like give you a mark or tally to say that they think that you're a good candidate to become a PAL. And then I think after that initial part, there's interviews. And so this was my COVID year, so I made a video.
Okay, this sounds like an intense process. So there's 25 spots. It's probably about 200 people who apply. And here's also a little the golden nugget. You just mentioned something that I think, teachers have a say. And I think teenagers or young freshmen, sophomores don't often make friends or invite adults to be mentors in their life. But I think that you probably knew early on that adults are your friends. They are your allies. And so that probably really proved positive in this process for you. I mean, I'm just sort of guessing. So, well, I mean, what do you think about that?
Most definitely. So I learned in middle school that when you not just are outspoken in class, but when you make a connection with your teachers, they will advocate for you. So I learned that because teachers were willing, they wanted to write my letter of recommendation to get into Peyton. Um, they wanted to advocate for me. And so I'm a student where if I don't know something, I will ask because I also like to get A's. And so I wouldn't let fear prevent me from getting the A in geometry. That was for example, that was one class, physics, I took freshman year. So I asked teachers um, if I needed help. I asked them after class, or if I just wanted to talk, if there was something that I felt uncomfortable with, maybe racially at the school. I remember I definitely spoke to lots of teachers, or a few rather, that I felt like an English teacher, for example. And so I developed that kind of relationship. And just coming to talk after class definitely makes you known. And I wasn't necessarily doing it so that they would know me and that I could be the teacher's pet or anything like that, but because I knew that I had to advocate for myself. So self advocacy is a really important thing. And especially at a school like Peyton, getting help is kind of stigmatized. So um, I knew that right away.
Well, and again, the theme for this show is really the ask and you shall, receive. And so you just knew, I mean, similarly, I sort of like closed mouths don't get fed, right? So you knew to ask for what you needed, whether it was a physics class or help after class with the teacher, or help with getting into PALS, making the cut, really, um, with a slim chance, the 25, almost with 25 spots. So, okay, so you apply for PALS, you are accepted, you're one of the 25, which is fantastic. And now you're at the end of your sophomore year. And this, I think, for me, with college admissions, I always feel like by the end of sophomore year, students or families are thinking, oh, college is just around the corner. And all of a sudden it sort of becomes really real to them. And that either scares people, and so they just sort of recoil, or they sort of chase after it and sort of renew their commitment, so to speak. So what happened now? I don't actually know the story of who found me on, if it was you or your mom, but at some point you asked for the next step. So walk us through summer. Now we're in COVID, it's 2020, and this is when we met. So go ahead.
Yes. So I definitely knew that this was the time to start being very serious about college. Standardized tests come up, and I know that's very important. Standardized test, and then getting your college list down. So it was definitely my mother who was looking for additional help, knowing that the resources that we had may not be sufficient for the goals that I had to get into Harvard. So um, that was definitely when I started driving myself crazy, watching how I got into Stanford and how I got to Yale and all these crazy videos that are not good for you. So don't do that. But it was really helpful, or it set my mind up to know these are the kind of students that are distinguished, that get into the top schools in the nation. And I learned from them. And so my mom also knew it was this time. She was on me about that. And so she definitely was the one taking that extra step and being my advocate and looking for outside resources.
So this is when we had piloted, beta tested the program called Dream College. Now it's called Dream College Academy. And that you were our first cohort, a real cohort. We had, again, beta tested it. And so we had students from across the country, including yourself. There were 30 of you. And this course was over 8 weeks. And in the first week, we did vision boards. And if you remember this, right, we had vision boards and we had you all post them on our Facebook group. And then on our live session, I asked if anyone wanted to share anything from their vision board or some big goal. So do you remember that? And there were like 3 of you who raised your hand. And so tell that story of you being on that live session with really your peers, other peers that have dreams like you.
Yes, so the vision board was really important, something again that aligns with my faith. But I remember on the Zoom you said, "What's your wildest dream?" To declare it, and so I knew that I had a wild one. And so I unmuted, or I raised my hand virtually and unmuted, and I said that I wanted to be the president of the United States, and that's not an easy thing to say. Because like I said before, it's out of a lot of people's realm of possibility. And you're putting yourself out there, but I probably wasn't also the first one to raise my hand. Um, but I I know that principle of speaking things into existence. And if there's an opportunity to share, then take advantage of it. And so I maybe was a second or third person, but I definitely shared with the group.
I remember it very clearly, and you were right there in that bubblegum pink bedroom and said it out loud. And I remember, first of all, it's something that adults will never forget, right? Like when you do that and you have sort of the courage and the bravery to declare something like that. The other person, there were three of you. I don't remember the third person, but I remember one of the other ones declaring that she wanted, her big dream is to work for Disney, and she's currently on that path now. So we really believed in that, and so that was week one. So Dream College Academy. So then later in that summer, at the last day, we do a little graduation ceremony, and we then ask students to declare what they were going to do now that they're going to part from the group. And so that they really are declaring, like, what is a goal, what is the next step they're going to take to get closer to their college dreams. And so in that graduation ceremony, again, I think everybody took a turn. We had everybody take a turn. But when it came to you, what was the thing that you said, I'm going to do this next?
So another tidbit that I learned from watching all those college videos is that everyone had their thing. They had the thing that they did that made them different from everyone else. So obviously through DCA, I was thinking about that, but this was also the summer after George Floyd was murdered. And so I was really passionate about I am really passionate about racial justice, and wanted to be a leading thinker and speaker about this, but also giving my peers a chance to speak and giving them hope. And so I said that I wanted to start a podcast, and I didn't know what it meant to start a podcast, what it took. I didn't necessarily know what it would be about, the structure of it or anything like that, but I knew that I wanted to have a podcast and speak about important things.
Yes, I love that. I mean, what you just said, that you had this vision of like a podcast, but you didn't quite know what it would look like, and that's okay. It's okay to have an idea, a little German of an idea, and again, speak it out into existence, put it out into the world, and like let it marinate a bit until it really comes crystal clear what to do next. Okay, so now you're a junior, and you're still doing debate. Now you're pals, and I think you did some work with the mayor's office. So let us know other things that you did in the junior year, and then when you lifted off your podcast.
So this was also the year where I ran for student government. So sophomore year rather, but junior year, that summer I would be a new member on student government. And then also I applied to be on the mayor's youth commission, which works very closely with mayor's office staff and with other youth across the city. And so we collaborate with mayor's office staff on initiatives. We create our own initiatives. And so I'm the public safety chair of the commission, and I've been since my junior year when I, first was elected. We served 2-year terms, and I started doing a lot of things. I also was a part or am a part of the NAACP's AXO competitions, which allow you to do a lot of across the humanities and STEM. And so last year I did poetry written, a dramatic speech. So I started doing a lot of things because I have a lot of passions. And then of course I spent the rest of that year after the summer trying to start my podcast and learning about podcasting.
I remember you saying that you had looked up YouTube and videos to find out the best podcast equipment you needed and all of that. And if I remember correctly, because you and I started working more one-on-one, I want to say January of your junior year, somewhere around there. And I think that was also around the time that you started. When was your first interview? Was that January or February?
It was, I believe, at the end of January.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was your season one. You've got, it finally got lift off. You were doing also some contests, right? You were for your speaking and poetry and things like that. You were doing a lot. And I remember we were, your mom and the three of us met and we started working one-on-one together. But sometimes getting a hold of you was like harder than getting a hold of the Pope, right? I was like, when are we going to meet? So you're putting all of that together, really, in many ways, honing and fine tuning what you do best, which is thinking, speaking, listening, really understanding other people's opinions. So debate, I think, might have really set you up for success for this podcast because you were, you had to debate. So and you had been doing that even since middle school. You were on student government, Mayor's Youth Commission. So all of those things, in my mind, make sense, and they really sort of are tied together for leading and on your road to becoming president of the United States in many ways. So all those skills are certainly transferable. So ask and you shall receive is the theme here. So what would you say as you look back all the way 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, and then Chicago Scholars, I think, becomes part of your life later too. But any last words that you want to say about that? How you really became resourceful on your own?
Yes, I was involved in many ways as I could. I wanted to apply myself. This is also during COVID quarantine. There was a lot more time to do things, so I could hop on Zoom calls back to back and not have to, drive X amount of, minutes or hours to get to any place. But I saw this as an opportunity to apply myself and to be as involved as I could. And I knew what I wanted to do. I know that a lot of students don't know who they want to become or what their passions are, but I wanted to hone my passion and be a part of a larger movement. And so every application that seemed interesting, um, I signed up for it, and I got. My mom was a big help in all of those things. So, and I would say that was also a part of this larger narrative that I want to say about myself as a speaker, a leader, a thinker, a listener.
You're just reminding me that all of the things that you just said that you did happened in the pandemic year. And while many students and adults, again, retreated, became less productive, and because we were, just at home, you took that as an opportunity to ask, not, how can I watch more Netflix? You took it as an opportunity to say, what more can I do? And I can be more efficient with my time because I'm at home, but what more can I do? And I'm guessing now that I think about it, that probably came through in your application as well. So, okay, all right, that is this episode. And next episode, Janah's going to walk us through her entire senior year. She's going to tell you where she applied, the ups and downs and in-betweens of all of that journey. So I think the next episode might be my favorite one because Janah has agreed to really be honest and candid and fully authentic for her sake, but also for she is one to pay it forward. So it's important that everyone know the reality of senior year. Okay, hang on, let me wrap up and then we'll be right back. So just to be clear, this is part 2 of a 4-part series with Janah. If this episode has in any way fueled your confidence or helped to build your dreams, please share this episode with 3 people in the next 30 minutes. And parents, you can join us on our Facebook group, Destination University, because the destination is not university. The destination is you. Be sure you can follow me at Dr. Cynthia Coulon on Facebook, Instagram, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn as well. Okay, that's all we have today. Janah, let's both wave goodbye. Wherever you are, may you have a happy and sunny day, and be sure to tune in for our part 3 with senior year, Janah's journey through senior year. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening this week to Destination University. Be sure to join Dr. Cynthia Colon again and get one step closer to your success.